Gorgeous.
I'm off.
Thank you.
Meeg, you only have Jill for half an hour, so go.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Bye, bye everybody.
No worries. Bye,
No, wait,
Garrett, or bye, Chris.
Bye,
I'm here.
Chris. Hi, everyone. So it's actually kind of nice maybe that it's just a small group of us. I thought I shared this with everyone, but I'm not confident. I'm just gonna check actually. I did. No, I didn't. I did. I tried sending out, started working off of building off of in June, we had Jonathan come, going through like that kind of activity list with different equipment that I thought most programs would have, or even just like low cost materials. I typed up a ton of things, pretty much everything I could think of, because I was stuck here for 2 weeks with COVID, so I had nothing else to do. So, but I'm only one person, so I kind of wanted to expand off of it and just take whatever ideas you guys had, and I'm just going to type and add them all. So I thought this could be more of like a literal working group, like literally working right now. So I don't know, maybe I can just go by like each item that I thought of at first, and then you can throw out any idea you have. I thought they could be either like prep activities before you go in the water, or just part of like the surf component of the sessions. It doesn't really matter. Just pretty much anything you could think of that would be an activity. Does that make sense? So the first one I had was just like a leash. So I broke it down in the beginning of just activities, and then like ways that you can either make the activity harder or easier. So I wrote like upgrades and downgrades. So if you want to start with a leash.
Could I just get a clarification on like, so the goal is for anyone and everyone to use this, or families, or like, so this is like for programs to use to have ideas for what to do?
Yeah, so I was talking to Chris about this, and we've been meaning to catch up a little more. I believe what our intention is to just have this as one of the resources in the Google Drive that's shared with all the ISTO programs. So when like programs that are part of ISTO want to access any of the materials that are in there, it's meant to either help new programs that kind of need more ideas of alternatives. And Jill, I know you and I are doing that, whatever seminar, I guess, or?
Yeah, is that the 13th, right?
Yeah, so I think
that, okay.
I think this was kind of building off of that idea of like how to help someone be more therapeutic without training them to be like a therapist. So it's just ways to like look at before and after. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like with a leash, I mean, putting the leash on and off the surfboard, you could do matching, getting the right leash that's the right length. If you have different leashes, that could be a great activity for kids and adults. And then, motor planning through the process. And then we use leashes a lot in obstacle courses. So we use them to like jump over. We put them side by side, so they have to like walk in between them, make them nice and skinny, like a skinny pathway. We don't use a lot of leashes actually in the water unless the kid is modified independent or independent. But when we do, that's what we use them for. Those would be my immediate ideas.
The matching the leash length and the motor planning, like the motor planning of just putting it on and off, I should have thought of. That was great. But the leash length one is really fun too. I like that.
Right.
Yeah, we use it to set borders and then jump over it. I'm thinking about other ways to use it.
Some of the other ones that go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say I use it too for like heavy work, like pulling the surfboard to you in the water. So like push the surfboard away and then pull it back.
Yeah.
I did another one. I said like if you tie the leash around like a bucket or something, you can have them like cast the bucket out into the water and then reel it in.
Mm-hmm.
Filling a bucket with, where did I write that? Then like if they're not surfing that day, you can go in the water. And I was thinking like they can hold the bucket with the rope and like look for gold, or you can have an instructor like load up their bucket with gold and then they can reel it in treasure, kind of like What was that thing they did in the gold rush with the pan and they look for gold in the like sand?
Gold mining.
Yeah. I was thinking something like that, like putting some of the sand and then reeling up the sand and looking for like shells and stuff.
Yeah, you could also use it like a as a boundary or a how close someone can get to you. So for example, if you give the leash to your buddy, then how close do you want somebody to come to you? As a trust thing?
Yeah. I like. And then I said another one you could do if you take the leash and like hang it from anywhere across, you can have them like do reaching activities and like clip things with clothespins and pull them off just for more.
Nice.
Prep. I'm not sure if you guys have ever done this. I don't know how realistic this is. I'm reading my activities from a couple weeks ago. Like if you have any sand hills, I was thinking you could like, I don't know if this is realistic. Like you could pull things up and down like the sand hill and like tying it, kind of the same concept of fishing, but like the heavy work concept that Jill was talking about. I think that's probably it for that. Then the next one I did was an exercise ball or the Bozu ball, either one.
Don't know.
Do you know that? I can go through some of the ones I started. Maybe that'll get the ball rolling. I've done this with a couple kids. I dig like a little hole and then put the exercise ball in it and use it as part of like an obstacle course of just motor planning how to get up and over. Or you can do it with a buddy and have someone help you get up and over the ball if you have one of the really big ones. And I did bowling. So you can set up like garbage cans or any of like the bins used for wetsuits and then use the ball as like a bowling ball. Putting you guys on the spot.
Oh, you're fine. I just don't really, I don't ever bring a big exercise ball with me just because I don't have 100 volunteers helping set up and stuff each day. You know what it's like on your own. So I'm like, if I don't need it, I don't need it. I can make a mound of dirt to crawl over, you know what I mean? So, or sand. So I haven't really brought one. I could make something up, but as far as activities I actually have done.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, kind of makes sense. They're not easy to travel with.
Right. Yeah. My van's packed full as it is. So.
Keep going. Then obviously just like soft top surfboard.
So we use that one again for obstacle courses, like walking on the stringer, like, or sidestepping, you know, using it as like a base so that, or a guide so that kids kind of keep their feet in the right alignment.
Kind of like almost a balance beam with the stringer.
Yeah, exactly. And you can make it stable or less stable by how you build the stand up around it.
So we're now talking about the soft tops, like
Could be
how
either.
to use them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, either.
We do the monkey bridge.
What?
I think is that?
I don't know if
is it called the same with you guys? Like all the boards in one direction in the sea, and then they walk over it.
Oh, I know.
Oh yeah, I've never called it a monkey bridge, but I like that. That's fun.
The monkey bridge.
Fun. That's a good one.
And I use it too for like teamwork, having kids carry it, you know, to the water. If I have peers at the same hour with other therapists, having each of them take a part so that they're working on and strategically having them like be like sideways, backwards, forward, like changing that up, you know. Obviously, people don't have to think that in depth, but varying kind of how they're positioned, just to challenge in different ways.
Yeah. And then I said pushing and pulling other athletes into the waves, going back to that like heavy work concept we were talking. Have you ever tried to use it as a slide? Like
Yes.
of course they can slide down it, right? That's
Yes. We did it with a pile of sand and then, yeah, that's fun. Yeah. We also use buddy boards for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do sandboarding.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be just fun in general.
Mm. For us as well, actually.
And then another one, you could stack the board, so that like lifting aspect and the motor planning and I guess teamwork too to make like a fort. You stack them kind of like Lincoln Logs. I don't know if you know what that is.
What? Lincoln?
Do you know what the toy Lincoln Logs are?
No.
Kind of like Legos, but you use them and you stack them like this to make like a.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah. It's not heavy. It's very light.
Yeah, they're little.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they're like little toys.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Then I don't know if these are. I feel like most of the soft top fins maybe are like too not kid friendly, but fins I guess could be considered like a material, but I don't know if I really good to do with them, like the surfboard fins.
The only thing would be like for fine motor skills, like having them practice tightening or loosening them.
Yeah, I mean, actually, yeah. Tight.
And it's good. And then they have to find like you can, because you use a quarter, right? So like then you can incorporate like life skills into it as well. Like, hey, we need to find the quarter to tighten our fins and have like all the change, like available. And then they have to sift through that way as well. Or whatever the equivalent in other countries would be that they use to do it. But I always just use a quarter.
Oh, I like that. That's a good one. All right. Next, I moved on to a bucket. I mean, we already talked about a lot of, it kind of branches over into what we were talking about with the leash. So I said you could do like a relay race. So if you had teams, you could have one big, like the basin you put the wetsuits in, and they have to run down to the water, fill the bucket, and run back with the bucket of water without spilling it. So it's a lot of that like graded control. Whoever fills up the big bucket wins.
So we use buckets for adapting for people with, because I have more people with mobility needs. So like they can't run to and from the water. So we've actually done things like squirt guns, but because not all the clients could get to the water easily with the squirt gun filled, like we use buckets for squirt gun tags. So they each have their own bucket so that it can be inclusive of all mobility levels.
So it's like a refill.
Yeah, like we just use it as like
you could flip them upside down and
use it for matching, stacking.
Building sandcastles.
The actual thing they were made for.
Yeah.
You can the game floors lava. I know they have like therapy grade ones, but you can flip them upside down and have them be like the uneven stones to walk across to get from part of the obstacle course. Then most people I think would have like a shovel, but I feel like that's pretty straightforward. Unless you had anything else. I did rocks and shells, but most of my ideas for rocks and shells that you find at the beach were based on like kind of sensory bins, and just the act of actually bending down, motor planning them, your balance, picking them up, putting them in the bucket, things like that.
I use them as weights as well. So like from a sensory standpoint, calming, carrying it, but then also like I'll have kids hold one in each arm to the side, like a T, or in prone, reaching up overhead like Superman, lifting them up for strengthening. So I'll use different sizes for different strength building.
Them
Yeah.
for painting, actually, like an art aspect, or like creative expression. The kids will paint a lot of things, and it's environment, or I don't know if it's environmentally friendly paint, but whatever they can use to actually paint. And a lot of the kids will take them home with them, like to their families. Some of them will leave them or give them to Chris or some of the surf instructors.
I had something similar to that. I'll add to it. Because you know how they do those the positivity rocks and they leave them around the community. So I had something similar, but I'll add to that. I like that.
Well, and big, all same, different. Use them for those types of things as well. Sorting.
Play tic-tac-toe with the rocks, grabbing at everything. I know some of these are probably pretty straightforward, but you know, some of the programs, I guess I was thinking in my head, that are just starting out that feel overwhelmed, kind of like myself. It's nice to just have a point of reference kind of to build off of.
Mm-hmm.
So every idea, I'm sure, would be a welcomed idea for them. And then I didn't add anything, and I had this idea when I was driving home the other day. I like the idea of trying to think of like how to repurpose like recycled materials into items you can use in sessions. Does that make sense? So like I've used empty water jugs as like, or I guess empty plastic bottles, and I'll fill them with different amounts of water and set up bowling on the beach. So then once they knock them over, they're all different weights and shapes to pick them up, put them back on the spots, and then you can keep playing like bowling, kind of stuff like that. Cardboard, especially for programs that are new, that don't have a lot of funds to buy any kind of supplies. So I don't know if we want to branch off in that direction a little, or any other materials that you guys have around that you are out.
We sometimes play, I don't know how it's called in English, but it's like water bottle football. So you need to empty each other's bottle. And the first bottle, which is empty, lost the game. So if you fill up a bottle with water, with seawater, and then you need a ball, of course, and then they have to play football against each other, and then you need to knock over each other's bottles and empty.
So
the
are they
bottle.
on either ends of like a little field? I'm trying to picture it.
Yeah, and then yeah, or they can be in a round and everybody has his own bottle with water, and then you need to have the fullest bottle, and then you win.
That's cute. Rachel, are there any other activities you've been doing with gnome surf that you feel like have been successful?
For most camps, they always have, like I already said, the art station, but they have yoga as well. And I know that's not, environment or equipment specific, but we have like a yoga instructor that comes and does a lot of stuff with kids. And she does a lot of like deep pressure movement, things like that. And we do sand castles. I feel like it, and I'm trying to picture like everyone else's program compared to Gnome, just because it is new. Well, in my opinion, it's newer, and then I'm also newer to it. So I'm trying to figure out what we bring to the beach is probably a little bit limited. They just bring like the surfboards, the kids come, and then they just send them out in groups. And then whoever's not surfing can come to the beach and do on beach activities. But it's not anything super organized. So what you guys have been saying, I would say most sessions will probably have most of those equipment available for us, but I can't think of anything specific because they're usually busy and people running around, and then also trying to wrangle everyone together is hard to organize, but it's still fun.
That makes sense.
Mhm.
And then Jill and Suzanne, is there any other like equipment that you have frequently, or things that you have that you think might be good to add onto the list that I missed?
Well, it's not with equipment, but I was thinking of one exercise we always do to start off with. And trying to explain it visually. It's like we're making a tunnel, like people standing opposites of each other. Yeah, and then you walk under the tunnel. But you walk under the tunnel with your, I call it buddy, or like your supervisor, or the one who's surfing with you. So the volunteer. So they walk together under the tunnel. So it's also a little bit of a trust thing, I think. Yeah, let's go together and try not to hit all those hands.
That's good for like body awareness and spatial awareness, though. Motor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this
They were
doesn't have.
usually.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just say we're usually, as you know, like one-on-one. At most, I have like 3 kids there at a time with my growing staff. So we don't have a lot of like group things like that, other than what we do at like our 1 week of our therapy camp. But we would just do like treasure hunts are a big hit. And you don't necessarily have to have a special toy for that, like old Mardi Gras beads and some coins. And I bury them in like I'll like section out an area with a leash, right? So that I don't forget where they are and litter on accident.
Yeah.
And then, like, again, you can tailor that to different challenge levels. Like I'll have kids do it in tall kneel or half kneel, or standing and squatting and digging, or using their hands or a shovel, etc. So treasure hunts are usually a big one and can be fun for individuals or groups.
Yeah, I had that at some point, but those are definitely, I can see how they would be a big hit.
Sometimes you use the, we call it super sub, like the stand-up pedal board, and then use it as a boat for the whole team to get on it and to push each other off of it. Like, or just paddle with the boat as a team. Or do you sometimes use that? Do you have super subs, like the inflatable super
I know what you're talking
boat
about.
things? Yeah.
Be more of a question. I'm assuming, Jill, I know the answer just because I know your program framework or model.
Yeah, I
is
do
different.
not. I feel like all of our regular boards are monster subs already,
Yeah.
but I don't have
They
but I don't have a super sub. But I know what you're talking about. They're awesome. I just don't have them.
I like how, though, we're kind of, this began in my mind as equipment based, but I like how we've shifted to like just kind of the team building aspect too, because it's something that like team building, the social skills, some of the other things that aren't so concrete, that we haven't talked about as much in the past in some of the meetings, because this can just be here's an idea list for any kind of activity. It doesn't have to be based on equipment. So any other activities you do would be probably great to add. Anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, but this is a good start. I think for now, I'm going to reshare it with everyone. I need to re-add it to the Google Drives. So if you ever want to take a look, I'll just make it so anyone can edit. So if you think of anything else, just feel free to add it at the end. And then maybe I'll put a deadline in of maybe the end of September. And by then I'll make it look nice and more organized and reword some things. Right now, it's very rough draft.
And you said you'll resend the Google Drive link. I'm sorry. I don't know if I still have that readily.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I'll resend everything. I'll sit down between today and tomorrow, right? Something else pops up that I need to do. So I'll try to get that out by tomorrow. So then the next thing I wanted to just chat about. I've been trying to think of what would be another good fit for a guest speaker for some time in the next couple months. I was thinking if I could get someone from like an aquatic therapy organization. I did like a bunch of courses right before COVID and got certified. My certification expired, but I reached out to them. I'm waiting to hear back to see if one of the founders would maybe be willing to just talk about how they came to be a certifiable organization, and just some of the basic concepts of aquatic therapy. I thought that might be interesting. What are your thoughts?
That'll be very interesting, I think. Yeah.
Sounds
Love
good.
to hear more about that.
I'm not sure who I'm going to get from there, but even if I can just get someone that's been through some of the courses, because here in the US, it's called the Aquatic Therapy Rehab Institute. So they do courses online and in person all over the country, and they do different conferences based like throughout the year. So you don't have to take the in-person courses to get certified, but they do suggest it. And then there's like a test you have to take, and then you have to do it annually. So I just either want someone that works for them, ideally, but if not, someone that's at least been through the certification program, has been practicing, taking the test, that would just know at least the basics pretty well. So I'll try to get that for the next maybe 2 months.
Super.
That's item number 2. And I know there's only really the 4 of us. So I've been struggling a little, I'm not gonna lie, with making sorry, hold on. Other household member, it's gonna make a little noise. I was trying to make that like 1-page, easy to use resource that we could give to families, but I realized it's a lot harder to make something so simple, like to sum up what ISTO is and what surf therapy is on 1 page. It was actually really hard to do on my own. We all kind of define it differently. So I kind of wanted to revisit that and ask for everyone's input. Because it's been a little while. So I know in the beginning we wanted it to explain like briefly what is surf therapy, how are we different than maybe other kinds of traditional therapy, and then a brief intro to what ISTO is with the website information. But after that, I kind of got stuck. I wasn't really sure what else everyone would want on it.
I think maybe simple descriptions on the type of people who are using surfing might be good, so people understand the difference. Like I get parents all the time that are like, oh, you're not doing speech? I'm like, no, I'm a PT. Like my SLP is, XYZ. And like there are programs, like I get people reaching out to me all the time for mental health needs and things like that. And so I think kind of outlining the types of people that are using it, and then the people who are doing more adaptive surfing and are not medically based. That I think that just, it doesn't need to be a huge in depth, but like maybe like a little glossary of that might be helpful.
That's a great idea. I love that.
Because that'll help too as this keeps developing and growing as a profession. It will need to be sectioned out more, where it's not just a blanket surf therapy probably as things continue to grow, right? So kind of sets that up.
And did we also say that we were going to put a link to the research or something small? But yeah, I know it's hard to say something small about the research we're doing, but.
So that was another one of my questions was, which research do we want to link it to? Because what would we want the one pieces that we put there to be on it? Like, do we want the scoping review? Do we want the link to the global journal? Do we want you know what I mean? I don't
Is there like a database of research that everyone has access to, even if they're not a contributor?
We have it on the
like that's on the
website.
website. Can't we just put that part of the website on there?
Yeah.
Or even just like, there's lots of research available at the website.
Yep.
Yeah. I think in the beginning, we had, I believe, gone back and forth of, do we want something specific with like a quote, and then be like a quote from one of the articles that was like the actual information, versus like, here's a link to go find more, because then we weren't sure if people would actually
Go and do that. Yeah.
people are really interested, they should. But I think that was in the beginning, some of the,
Yeah.
I don't want to call it controversy, just that we don't know what to do. But I'm fine. I mean, I think the link would make the most sense.
No, you're right, Meg. I think we were talking about that it had to breathe like the atmosphere of surf therapy more than just putting links, cold links there. And yeah.
So if anything, I can try to go through, I'll go through some of the research and try to find like a good clip, or I mean, not a clip, a good quote with the link. So at least it's like a little taste of the research. The link.
Or maybe we could make like a little infographic for the bottom that just has like the most outstanding part of research in each area of the field, right? So like the most significant one on related to mental health, or the most significant, XYZ. So that maybe there's like, 4 or 5 little
Great
1 point facts. And then at the bottom, it says, for further research in all of these areas, go to this link, so that it gives people some interest, like, oh, there is data out there on occupational therapy using surfing.
I like
and
that.
Infographics are really easy to make on Canva. There's tons of them. Maybe I'm thinking just like something like kind of horizontal at the bottom, like 5 clips next to each other and like a link underneath or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I love that idea. It's a good idea.
I am going to ask for some volunteers to help find some quotes from some of the different ones, and then we can kind of, maybe I'll make like I hate calling it homework, like the assignment, I guess, for the next meeting, if everyone could try to find like 1 or 2 good ones, and then we can kind of decide what we like the best.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's something we could put in the Google Doc too, though, as we find things, right?
Yeah, that would be great. I'll recreate. I'm going to leave it separate. I'll have one with the activities, and then I'll make another one for the, for this resource.
Infographic stats. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to make the infographic. It's just I'm looking at it right now. It looks really nice. There's a lot of good articles up here. So when everyone at their leisure, with everyone's large amount of free time.
No, but that is the way you should do it, I think, because we're like, how many people are in the group? 15, 20? Everybody should do something.
And I can just, I think this might make more sense, because sometimes there are so many, I don't want to miss it. So I might just assign, I hate saying like words like that. I might ask them, I'll give you like 1 or 2 to look through, so that we don't miss any.
Yeah.
Okay, so far for that, we have brief description of surf therapy, which I'll probably pull from the website. I really like the idea with the descriptions of like who can provide surf therapy, and then surf therapy versus adaptive surfing, which is such a good point. Instead of it just being a blanket term, because I think that's where it gets so muddled, is there's some people that they do adaptive surfing, which is different, which I don't think most people think about right away.
Well, and it's just for a safety for the patient thing, right? Like they might say, well, I can go to this program XYZ, I'll just do that. And it might not be what's actually appropriate for their family member. But it's marketed as, it's like very misleading to the public.
Mm-hmm. I lost my train of thought. I don't know how to phrase it. That's just a good point. Is it too much to have something that says like, how do I know surf therapy might be for me? You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
well, since this is just supposed to be like a 1-page sheet for people at, like, it's my understanding, I think this was something Chris actually from Gnome Surf brought up, like one of the first ones was like having a 1-pager to give to families, right? It's kind of what this is. So I think just having it at least describe the differences so that families are like, oh, like, is this a, surf therapy or an adaptive surfing program? Just so like they at least have in their mind. Because the is surfing for me thing, I think really varies program to program, right? Like some programs might be able to handle clients X, Y, and Z, but not others, because of their specialty and what they're tailored to.
Yeah, I think
So I think that's where having the glossary of like who could do this kind of helps back up like what kind of program they should look for, if that makes sense.
I think I just phrased my question wrong. Like we're going off of first point. I agree. The intention was for this to go for people to hand out at their programs. I think as like unless I'm wrong, I think Chris and I were saying this is also going to go on the website as like
Yeah.
No, I know for like other people that maybe aren't yet. I think that's
Okay.
part of it. And then the other thing would be like, I don't know if we would just want to expand off of like when we describe who can do surf therapy, being like, if you need services for like these kinds of things, including but not limited to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like you can work on so many things. I don't know how to phrase what I'm trying to say.
No, that makes sense. And sorry guys, I'm running
Diversity.
so I've got to go quick out of here. Thank you though. I'll read the notes after the fact.
Thanks. Jill.
Bye, Jill.
Bye.
Bye.
Mhm.
But do you know what I mean?
Mm.
What I'm trying to say, but I'm having trouble saying because it's getting late for me too, even though Suzanne, I know it's even later for you.
Yeah, I need to go soon as well. But you mean the diversity?
Yeah, like and some people think when they hear surf therapy, it's like, oh, they're taking you surfing. Like I know we to go to families, but I don't think families that are in programs or want to be in programs know how much you can work on besides like strength. You know what I'm saying? So I think it'd be nice to have either like a graphic or just a little blurb that said like, you can work on these kinds of things in addition to like the act of surfing, which I guess we would be touching on with surf therapy versus adaptive surfing. But you see what I'm kind of trying to say?
Yeah, it reminds me of like an OT, and I forget who's an OT, but the OT practice framework, they like divide a person into different systems. So it's like emotional, physical, mental, all of those things. And it breaks it down to basically everything. So I understand what you're saying, how it can affect all the other ones, and just to kind of make it a simple blur, because you might not have all of them, you can have one or two, but yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get that. I'll have to look that up to see what, it's been a minute since I've opened the textbook, but I know it's in there.
I'm an OT too, and I know the framework, it's long, but that's basically of like just a brief like intro, like to get more people to buy in, I guess.
Yeah.
Suzanne, I feel like how I think you're feeling. I've been up since really early too, and my brain's like running out of steam. I'm like, we're having trouble finding words.
It's okay.
But that's all I had for today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for so much for joining. I'll send out the email now. I'm going to type it up now so that it gets out there and I make sure it gets done. So I'll read all the links and keep working with guest speaker for hopefully the next couple months.
Did you just start your own program?
I did. So that's why I've been a little
good
with my communication and organization lately. My brain's being pulled in 10,000 directions, and then I got COVID, which didn't help. And then back
it's so great. You started your own.
Yeah, a little scary. I'm a lot overwhelmed, but it's all good.
Wait, where are you out of?
I'm in New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, briefly, because I know Suzanne, you're probably exhausted, but I've been taking out a couple kids that I just knew from the area. And then one of the moms was like, why don't you just do this all the time instead of just side for fun? And I'd always thought about it. And then I just said, okay. So
good.
a lot of backwards learning. So just all of like the details of like the government things that you have to do. I do want to figure out how to get reimbursed by insurance, which is going to take a while. It's a little overwhelming to figure out how to do that, but I'm going to be a little bit different of a model. I'm not planning on being a nonprofit right now. I did form it as like more of like a business, like a fee for service, kind of like how Jill's doing it. So we'll see. Hopefully by next year, it should be a little more up and running. I just have like the bare bones right now.
That's awesome.
Yay. Well, I know it's very brave to start your own business. It's really good. Yeah. It's it's quite a long way, but you're starting. That's the first big step.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah. Good.
So Rachel, if you ever want to come hang out, let me know.
Yeah, I know, New Jersey. That's not too far, actually. That'd be fun to see how it works and everything.
Where are you, Rachel?
I'm in Massachusetts, Rhode Island. Nome Surf is technically, well, I guess it's technically Massachusetts, but they do both states. So,
What is that, like 5 hours?
To New Jersey? Yeah, probably about 5 or 6. 5 or 6, depending, I guess, where.
I think in the United States, that's nothing. And for us, that's going to another country.
I know. True.
So funny. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. Well, I go to bed.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye, Grace.
Bye. 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 Can you hear me?
Bye.
Yeah.
Good night, Suzanne. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.